glad she's involved with this. So let me lay a little lay on the land. So we're going to have 3 really engaging entrepreneurs on stage talking about their journeys, why they built their businesses. But what's really important is that I really want you to hear what they're saying, because I don't know about you all, but I've had burnout as an entrepreneur. I've had burnout when building things. I've had a burnout when I thought things were going well, and then all of a sudden the roller coaster comes down, up and down. It's not even if you're an entrepreneur. You can be someone in the work world. You can be in the nonprofit world. You can be a creator. It doesn't matter. Point is that I'm vulnerable enough to tell you that sometimes you got to take a breath and just see what's there, and it's okay to embrace the struggle, or it's okay to say that the struggle is not really a struggle, it's a learning experience. However you want to see it, that's fine. But I'm really excited that these 3 individuals are going to share their journeys building what they're doing. They've all had some experiences in their life, and now they're sharing why they're on a mission to help people, because that's what the whole mission of the Startup Grind is, to show amazing stories from the entrepreneur creator standpoint. So let's bring up our panelists, and we're going to get started. Sound good? Woo! And also, we're gonna have room for Q&A. So definitely write down your questions on your phone or whatever. We'll definitely have some time for that. So please come up to stage, please. Thank you. You can clap. Yeah, they're amazing. Of course. So I'm gonna give you the mic. Please give a little background on who you are and what you're up to, and then we'll get started.
Hi everybody, I'm Daniela Luzzi-Tudor. I'm CEO and co-founder of WeConnect Health Management. We're a platform that helps people stay in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction, and also built a platform that improves outcomes throughout the whole healthcare ecosystem by reducing relapse for substance use disorders.
Woo. Hi, my name is Burkate Brown, and I'm the founder of Internal Gym Enterprises. And really what we focus on is how to empower people to empower themselves. How to get people to break the gap between what they intend to do and how they behave. We work with that in terms of your fitness, your health, your business, the way that you want it to grow, and then also your life. So you can live a fulfilled life as opposed to just doing what you want to do to get fulfilled.
Really get the Dwayne Johnson vibe.
It's like that?
It's the shirt the baby got. No, it's really awesome to be sitting with you guys. My name is Ravi Sharma. I'm the CEO and founder of Udify. So before diving into the business, Ut in Hindi means to lift up. And Udify is really meant to lift up our community's mental health. And the way we do that is really 3 ways. It starts with content. So we really want to show the fact that physical wellness and mental wellness is the same. We all have a primary care doctor. I want everyone in this room, that's my vision, is for all of us to have a mental health professional in our corner. That would be super awesome if we could just talk about that and say, hey, you should talk to my psychiatrist or psychologist or therapist or social worker, whoever is in your corner. So I want to leverage content to re-educate people, destigmatize mental health. Technology, of course, can have a really impactful resonance with society if you use it right. So we use AI to match you with the best possible provider. We're a mobile app company. And so matching you with the best possible provider, and then you can connect with them through telehealth right on the app, either audio, video, or messaging. Really trying to streamline that process to get connected. And then similar to Startup Grind, just create a community. I mean, we're all here, we've all struggled, we all have family members or friends that have been affected by mental health issues. But if we talk about it as a community, I think that's the first step, and that's what we're here to do. So really excited to be here. Thank you.
You guys hear my voice, okay? Yeah. I want to have them have the mic as much as possible. So, Ravi, I'm curious. When you talk about what you've done, I mean, there's a lot of depthness behind it. What happened in your life that made you say, okay, enough's enough, I need to now go build this company?
Yeah, I just started becoming open with my story. It was really hard to kind of talk about it, and I finally got clearance from my family to talk about it, because in Indian culture there's a lot of stigma. So I first became passionate about mental health when I was at USC. I was a college student, eldest son, and we found out that my mom just was battling severe depression at the time. And so we didn't really understand it. We're like, hey, let's just, we can get through this as a family. I'd come home every weekend, and she just would not come out of it. And so it got to a point where she tried to take her life twice. And once I graduated from college, I'm like, this is enough. And so it has a good ending. I mean, my mom, we were able to get her a therapist, a psychiatrist, a medicine management like routine, and then a support group. We have like this WhatsApp group. Anytime my mom's not feeling well, we like text each other and we're always there for her and kind of step in really early. So that's when I first got super passionate about mental health. And then the catalyst for me, my background's predominantly finance and investment banking. One day, and I'm an avid tennis player, I love tennis, and one day I got a call that one of my tennis partners was missing. And so that happened in 2016. I thought he went to UCLA, blue eyes, and an Indian guy having blue eyes is just like, that never happens, and found out that he had taken his life. So with my mom's situation and then losing my friend, I really wanted to kind of take on mental health, and I'd been following it for a long time. So that's why I jumped into building Udify.
Thanks for sharing that. You have had an interesting journey with your business. I mean, how many of y'all know what TechCrunch is? Okay, she's won at one of their events. No joke. She's actually won to Disrupt, correct? So this is an interesting story as well. Please tell us about how your business came on, because you've had some ventures in the past, and like this is like your calling in a way, right?
Yeah, so more importantly than being CEO and co-founder of We Connect Health, I'm a person in long-term recovery from drug and alcohol addiction. And my best friend, who's actually in the audience today, she approached me in the most unconditional, loving way. We had a business together that was in the music technology space. It was a very niche product. And she sat me down and she told me that I needed to get into recovery, but she approached me in such an unconditionally loving way. I've never felt unconditional love like that before. So I was able to hear her, and I moved from LA back home to Seattle, and for 18 months I tried to get into recovery on my own, which for those of you that are familiar with substance use disorder, that's not possible without a community, as we've all mentioned that, without support, without resources. So I ended up actually getting a DUI, and then a few weeks later getting arrested. And as I was detoxing in jail for about 3 days, I felt this sense of like, I can't live this way anymore, but I don't know how to live otherwise. And I finally reached out for help. I got into a treatment center, and I locked myself in my parents' home for 3 days because I was afraid I was going to change my mind. And I didn't think treatment was going to work, but coming from an immigrant Romanian Eastern European family, I wanted to show my parents that the sacrifices that they made to come to the United States were worth it, and that I was going to do everything possible. And so I landed in rehab, and it was there that everything changed. I met people that were going through the same thing that I was, but I looked around and I realized clinicians were doing things on pen and paper and texting and calling to keep people accountable to their recovery program. And I also learned that 85% of people relapse within the first 60 days of getting into recovery. So I felt that there could be a better way, and that was the idea for We Connect. In my 3rd week, I journaled about how we could leverage our smartphones, which are with us 24/7, to bridge that gap between accountability of your recovery activities and your connection to your support network. And when I got out of treatment, the idea kept haunting me and haunting me and haunting me until I decided to pursue it full time. And that's why I decided to do it, because the opioid epidemic is the biggest public health crisis of our time, and alcohol causes more violence and more deaths than anything else. And I just had to pursue it, and my mission is to connect people and create experiences and products that connect us rather than disconnect us.
How about you?
How about you? What are your thoughts?
Actually, before you do that, could you share with the audience the squat story?
Oh, no.
Because I'm still processing. That is such
Right.
a cool story. Seriously.
Well, no, it's just okay. So, I guess we could use this. Everybody, unless you have knee problems, don't do this. But just stand up real quick. All right. Now wave your hands like you just don't care. No, I'm kidding. So what I want you to do is I just want you to squat down till your butt touches the seat and then stand right back down. Do that real quick. Beautiful. Perfect. Do it one more time. One more time for good measure. Let's do it. Okay, get up. Go ahead. Stay standing. Stay standing. Now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine with me. Okay? I want you to, this assignment says, again, what Burkay says, the first thing you do is stick your butt out. Then come down slowly. Slowly. Slow. 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 Slowly, fully engage. I want you to press your heels into the ground, flex every muscle in your legs, keep the weight on your back, pretend there's a refrigerator on your back and it's too heavy to move. Come a little lower right there, freeze. Flex as tight as you can, squeeze the glutes. I want you to hold it and pretend you're picking it up but it's too heavy. Slowly lift up, press through the heels. Through the heels, through the heels. Abs tight, squeeze the butt. I say eat your pants and pull your abs in. Squeeze, let's do it one more time for good measure. Bring it back down. Yeah, okay, all of a sudden. Hold, flex, squeeze, slowly, push, 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 or pull, 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 come up, and relax. Was that different? What was different about it? Somebody just yell it out. Yep, the trainer. He's like muscular engagement. And the lower quadricep. So the difference between going through the motions and engaging is everything. And so really what my job is how do we get people to engage in their lives? Most of us are striving to be successful. Most of us are trying to get somewhere. But they think in their minds that it must be suffer and hard work in order to achieve. But the truth is, what if goals were just excuses for adventure? What if I actually enjoyed my life while achieving? That makes life way more better. That is my mission. How do I get you to love your life in the process? My story kind of starts actually when I was a personal trainer back in the day. And I had a client named Edward, and he was very skinny, very small, very quiet. And I'm like, I want to help him. So we started training him, and he started to get a little bit more in shape. But then he would start to make jokes. He would start to talk back to me. And I'm like, well, okay, this is great. Then he had a girlfriend. And I'm like, that's great, keep lifting. And as time went by, his body changed, his personality changed. Then he goes, hey, I'm engaged, and I want you to be in the wedding. So I'm sitting there in the wedding rehearsal. He's standing up. The teacher is now sitting below. And he's standing there in his suit. He looks incredible, and he was crying. And he goes, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have believed that I could have got a girl like this. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is self-actualization. This is what I'm doing the rest of my life. What's happening? Is this real? Is this the happiest moment I'm ever going to have? Like, I just didn't know what was happening. But I knew that I had to create this experience more. And the thing that he said, which was so powerful, was it's not that I helped him or I made him get this girl. He said, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have believed. And that's all it's about. I did research at UC Berkeley on self-efficacy, the belief in your ability to change. Trusting that you're capable. And so my job is, how do I get you to break the sabotaging thoughts that stop you from achieving? How do I get you to separate that intention-behavior gap and bridge it by remembering why you're here and not thinking that happiness is over there? That's ultimately that's my mission, that's my vision, that's what I'm trying to create in the world.
So now that you understand a little bit of the bio of each of these individuals, let's talk a little about their journey building their companies, right? Because entrepreneurs, doesn't matter what industry you're in, you gotta go for it, you gotta grow it, you gotta build it. I mean, the whole game is get customers, make revenue, make your calling really out there. It's not just from the idea side, it's from the to the audience side. So Danielle, I'm curious, walk us through what was it like starting with this company? Because like I mentioned, you did win the Tech Farms thing, and there's visibility on your brand. I mean, you do a Google search, which I did. There's some good articles on what you're doing. So you had a journey. Now just share with us what's it been like so far, from the beginning stages to whatever you feel like saying.
Wow. It's been an incredible journey, and I think vulnerability is strength. So I'm going to actually share with you what this week has been like. So just to kind of give you context, we raised our Series A last year. We've raised over $9 million. We're working with health plans, treatment centers. We get tons of customer feedback that our app is changing their lives, and healthcare plans are seeing outcomes and all of that. But this weekend, we also had to have some changes, and we're preparing for Series B, so there's all this pressure going on at the company. And my COO got some feedback from an employee, and it was the most brutal feedback I've gotten on myself ever. And I went through all the emotions of sadness, anger, everywhere from why do I care what one employee thinks, to oh my gosh, why am I even the CEO of this company? Am I even worth doing this? And I took a step back and I looked at the feedback. In some parts, she was absolutely right. There's some things that I need to work on. This one instance in this particular area of the business, I started micromanaging, which I'd never done, and I did it out of also need to work on a couple other things, like I need to be more present in meetings and not multitasking when my board is texting me and calling and emailing me and all of that. And then there's some parts where she doesn't have context because, you know, as a business owner, there's certain things that, you know, you protect your employees from, or there's certain things that you do where they don't have visibility. And then this overwhelming sense of gratitude came over me. And the truth is that I've built a culture in my company where she felt safe enough to bring that feedback by her CEO. So I told her that she was brave and courageous and that I would work on the things that I need to work on. And let's talk about the other things where she needs more context. And she replied with the nicest message ever, that she loves me and the company, and that she feels like it's a family, and that she wants us to win every single day. And that's what the whole journey is like. It's a lot of ups and downs. Sometimes when you get the thing you've been working for was so hard that day, you actually don't feel like what you thought it was going to feel like because you've been working so hard towards it. And like you said, it's about enjoying the process and taking the learnings. And it's been a crazy journey, and we're preparing for our Series B. We're in process now to expand our offering to major health plans. And we work with people that are experiencing homelessness, the veteran population, Medicare and Medicaid, and we also have a ton of work to do, and it's a beautiful journey.
Thank you for that. How about yourself, building your company? Like, you know, first off, I mean, I sincerely appreciate you sharing, you know, what you've been dealing with from a personal life standpoint and bringing that energy to what you're doing. Like, what's it been like? Because you've raised money too. And actually, before you answer that, is anyone here looking to raise money for their business? Because that would be helpful. Hopefully this answer will be helpful. Okay. What's it been like for you to get, you know, validation from investors, customers, and stuff, like your journey? I'm just curious.
Yeah, you know, investors are funny. You know, you, as a founder, this is your passion, this is your life's purpose. You know, you've had signs in your life, you've had that validation moment at a wedding. God, like, the high is so amazing. And then you go into these meetings and you get some head nods, and then at the end of the meeting, it's just like, oh, the market's saturated, there's too many people doing this, or you know, you don't have the team to execute on this, or, I mean, it's like 100 reasons no, right? And it really kind of shocks you because you, as a founder, you just take everything personal, and you really shouldn't. But you know, what you really have to hold on to is the investors that say yes and celebrate all those W's, because the fact that you're able to raise money from whoever it may be, it could be an investor that, you know, maybe it was supposed to be their vacation money and they gave it to you because they believe in your mission, and you know, one of our board advisors did that. Or it can be a huge endowment fund, or you know, one of the biggest angel groups in the world, and they invested in you. But you know, they're believing in you, they're believing in your mission, and you just have to kind of hold on to that and not take it personal. And you know, at the end of the day, investors are really smart. They're seeing so much deal flow in your category, in your space. So take notes and say, okay, that is a valid point, and the fact that I didn't articulate to you how we're mitigating that risk, that's probably a failure on my part. And just kind of use that as motivation to understand that maybe they missed it, but maybe you can do a better job articulating it. And it's okay to take it personal, that, you know, you're human, but just like keep charging forward, because when you get that check, it's so validating, it's so amazing. And you know, the investors that invest in you, then you can call them anytime, and they're there for you at any time of the day. At least for me, because they really believe in it. So it's a hard journey, but just like keep chugging along, and yeah, investors are really funny sometimes too.
We should do an investor comedy night right next to that. One time I did this pitch. You know, Rike, one thing I like about what you do and the people you guide from just studying your background, and you've got amazing social, by the way. I like some of the content you're doing, seriously. Is you really understand mindset. And I think one thing that both these entrepreneurs have mastered is the mindset, because they've acknowledged that stuff ain't easy sometimes, that they're going to get, you know, if it's a boxing match, they're going to get hit in the face a lot of times and feel like they're knocked out, but something pushes both of them and other successful entrepreneurs to keep going for it. What's your thoughts on mindset? mindset, and like how can entrepreneurs learn how to use that to deal with these situations?
Great question. It's kind of a two-pronged approach. I think there's a pushing process and a pulling process. Your vision is everything. The work that I do when I'm working with startups founders, when I'm working with people that are trying to lose weight, when I'm working with people who are just trying to be happier, what are they trying to create in the world? And there's people here who have worked with me, they know exactly what I'm talking about. They know that I'm serious about it. That if you don't know who you are, can't articulate it, if you are not clear what your vision is and what you're trying to create, when it gets difficult, your identity will suffer too much, right? My vision, I envision a world where boundless imagination and creativity is applied to life itself, where the very art of living is mastered and evolved as each individual is empowered to express their unique greatness in the world. I know my vision, and I could break it down. I have a video that literally breaks it down because it's so clear to me. And so when I get berated by life, both externally and internally, the vision is that core that keeps me focused on what I'm trying to do. And if you're not able to articulate what your values are, not just like happiness, but able to define it in no specific moments in time that you experienced it or that you didn't experience it or you didn't live out the behavior, then you don't really know it. There's a difference between knowing and embodying. And ultimately, with our clients, we're saying, how do you embody this into who you are? That's one. The vision pulls, right? Another thing is preparing yourself for failure. You know, when I started one of my businesses, I literally had to write down what would happen, worst case scenario barring death, right? What would happen? And then how would I get out of it? And so psychologically, I set myself on a path to know what to expect when it happened. And it happened. And when it happened, guess what I did? I remembered. It wasn't a new thought. I remembered what I would do when that would happen. Does that make sense? So what happens is it's an implementation response. I'm implementing my response in the future for if this does happen. And that empowers me to be able to climb my way back out. And finally, I think this is kind of more of a powerful thing in terms of me spreading the message of being a whole person. If my identity is my business, the internal gym, right, which is the mind, and the concept and the branding, if that's everything that I am, if that goes, then I go. I was a musician before all of this. I used to be a singer-songwriter. And I got a callus on my vocal cords. And I thought I died because music died. I couldn't sing. Who am I? Because I thought I was just one thing. But then as I excavated and climbed back out, I realized that I'm so much more. That's when I went to Berkeley and studied and researched internal motivation and behavior change. A whole new world was created because of that loss. And now I know that it's more important. I'm still a musician. I'm a researcher, a behavioral coach. You can give me whatever you name, but I'm Burkhead. And that's more important than all of them. And so if one drops, I still have me. I still am a son. I'm still a brother. You see what I'm saying? It's being able to set yourself up to reduce the likelihood of you giving up on the most important asset that you ever will have, yourself.
Right? My last question about your businesses and where you all have gone is, I want to talk about leadership and mentorship. What have you learned from a leadership standpoint that's helped you with your companies and the clients you've worked with that you'd love to share to like early stage entrepreneurs and other people here that are looking to build their businesses, just from your own experiences? And it can be knowledge that a mentor gave you even. That's why I said mentorship too.
First and foremost, I would share that, so Fred Luddy from ServiceNow is one of our investors. If you're in true like kind of technology, he's a billionaire that's built an incredible company. And one time we sat down for lunch, and what he shared with me is that no one really knows what they're doing at any point in life. And so, and the same feedback was shared with me by my trainer and life coach. His name's Titus. He's in Seattle. Same feedback. And the truth is that it's never too early to start your journey. You're only going to learn by doing. So like, pursue it now, go for it now, jump off the cliff. And the thing that's helped me the most is getting mentors in every single area. I have so many people to go to for different topics. I didn't go to business school. I've always had this innate drive, and I've had a lot of entrepreneurial journeys, but because I have such a strong mentorship circle, and that doesn't have to be formal, like we meet every month for an hour. It's like meet people, connect with them, tell them your passion, your story, and you can get on the phone with them casually for 10 minutes, even if it's once a year. But build that network of people in different subject areas, and that'll lift you up to get you to go where you're going. So that's the most important thing. And then the second thing I would say is, even on your hardest day, the most important thing is that you go to bed and the next day you go to the next meeting, or you get up and write that email and you keep going. The only way you're gonna fail is if you legitimately turn your back and quit. Like, that's the only way. So.
I think that was great. What she said. No, I really, we don't know. And I think that's one of the most important things. We do not know. And I want to empower that because, you know, a lot of us, I want to be the one on the top. And this work ethic, this mentality in Western culture is to be the greatest, right? You know, you see all these blue pins and one black pin, we pick the black one, right? In other cultures, they would pick the blue one just to be with everybody else. You know, our culture just is always pushing for greatness, but if my job is to remind people that I am you, you are me, the only difference is time. That's it. You see a billionaire or this round of funding, I am you, you are me, the only difference is time. And when I keep that in my mind, it keeps me humble, but it also allows me to humble the greatness that I see around me. It evens the playing field so that we know that we're all just humans trying to figure this out. And all my job is as I'm figuring it out, to plant seeds that are helping people. If my business fails, it will not deny the people that I have affected. I win already. They win already. And so that's kind of something that helps me push forward. That's the mindset that helps me. And one of my mentors really just, in a huge way, kind of just was constantly pushing in this idea of we're all the same. We're all the same. This humility. When somebody gives you like a compliment, he says, give it away. Some of you all know. Travis Mayfield, he's a mentor that I've had for a long time. But he's always like, give it away. And it just reminds me that I'm not chasing that. Because as soon as I chase that, that means I need it. As soon as I need it, that means I'll do whatever I need to get it. And that's when you start doing debased things.
Yeah, so my mentor is YouTube. Anytime I'm like super down, I just jump on and I look at Elon Musk and I'm like, dude, this guy's, he has no idea, like, had no idea what he was doing before. I mean, he didn't know how to build rockets, he figured it out. You know, YouTube is very powerful on my dark days. But seriously, I think what my... Oh no, YouTube. Sorry. Oh, YouTube. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Did everyone hear YouTube or YouTube? Okay, all right. Okay.
YouTube?
All right. And then the second mentor that I've had is, you know, I was an investment banker and a trader, and I had this Indian guy that was my boss, and every trade that he put on, he managed $43 billion, okay? Every trade that he put on, I like had talked to him before we put on the trade, and he like would change his mind throughout the day on the trade, and then put on the trade, but then put on the reverse trade, and he didn't know what he was doing. He was just like kind of messing with the markets and seeing because he had so much money, what would it do to the market, and then react. So even someone that is in charge of so much money was still trying to figure it out, to your guys' point. Like, no one knows what they're doing, especially even if they're, you know, have a fiduciary duty to protect that money. And then I did leave that job, thank God. And then just the third mentor, you know, in life, sometimes you just like run into people, and, like, you guys are my mentors now. You know, you just meet them for like 2 seconds and they become your mentor. This past weekend, I met Eric Yuan, and he's the CEO of Zoom, okay? And Zoom is amazing. I stood by him for 4 seconds, and there's this guy, like, we're on stage, we won this award for being a startup or whatever, but like, he was presenting the award, and he was standing next to me, and I had no idea. But I just like, this guy's really nice. He's like, hey, sorry I bumped into you, and all this stuff. And then he went on stage, and he was like the guy giving the award. And he's worth like billions of dollars. And what he said was 2 things that really resonated with me. He said, treat your employees like God, okay? Treat them like the best. And then they'll treat your customers like God. And that's how you build a company. And he he built like he's the only IPO this year that's actually profitable, I think, right? Out of Uber, Lyft, and I think if we can do that when you're running a business, I think you're going to be successful.
What is a book or audio that is something that you live by that you recommend to someone? Like if you were in a mentorship session with them and you're like, you need to read this or you need to listen to this. What is something that connects with you?
So my belief is that if you get right with yourself and all of your trauma or experiences, then you are going to be extremely successful in all areas of life, especially business. So the book that I would recommend is called 21 Day Consciousness Cleanse, and it is an incredible book. It takes you through 21 days of exploring your past, present, and future. And again, my belief is that if you get your inside right, then your potential is exponential, and you're going to be able to perform at your job in a professional setting in the best way possible.
That's a really difficult question for me. People are there's so many contexts that determine, but The Alchemist is just, it's, oh, gosh. I bet you're motivated to read it now if you haven't. it's just right. It's just an incredible book of journey. I love journey books. I've read a lot of self-help and how to get here, but The Alchemist and Siddhartha, I think, were just incredible books to just erase some of the hypo-Western thinking and then get back into it, because you'll have a little more balance. But I think those are great books.
Podcasts okay too, or just
audio.
okay? Audiobooks. How I Built This by Guy Raz. I was telling them. You hear about founders just sucking every day, and they're honest and authentic about it, and then they become rich. So you're hoping that you're sucking and you might be rich. So I really like How I Built This by Guy Raz. It's great.
Before we get audience questions, tell us about what you're working on and where can people find you. This is when you guys should grab your phones and write down this info in case you can't talk to them after. Please share your site and anything you want to share before we do audience questions, please.
So I have a QR code on my phone. If I talk to you, it'll just give you all the information. But berkebrown.com, BERKE, brown.com/contact. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I have a digital portfolio on there that kind of talks about all the things that I do, but in essence, it's coaching. It's life mastery coaching. So there's fitness and life mastery, there's life mastery, and there's business and life mastery. And those are the things that I do. We work with clients. We have an entire curriculum that I created from my research at Berkeley that allows you to go through the process of behavior change. And ultimately, my thing is, first, I don't care whether it's health, I don't care whether it's business, I don't care what it is you're trying to do. Everybody first needs to get the foundation of deconstructing their old way of thinking and reconstructing that idea of how incredible they are and knowing the mission, vision, values. So we always focus on that. But berkebrown.com/contact.
You can find us at WeConnectRecovery.com, and then at Daniela Luzzi T is all of my social.
Can I onboard you as a provider on my platform, as a coach? So the name of the company is Ootify, OOTIFY, same Instagram handle. If you want to get a coaching session, if you want to get a therapy session, 15 minutes is free, and then you kind of pay the provider their set rate. It's a great platform to just kind of connect with a professional and do it in a way that you feel comfortable, whether that be text, audio, or video, fully HIPAA compliant. And I'm going to try to get you on our platform.
Let's give it up to our panelists. Any questions you'd like to ask?
I'm an engineer, and I always think about data and automation. And just in that way, like in terms of data and mental health, what do you wish you knew more about or understood better? And in automation, what would you want to put in front of 8 billion people? What do you wish you could force multiply in front of everybody?
So my vision and my goal for We Connect Health is that we put out the largest peer-reviewed research on substance use disorder with AI on top of it to get insights of like, if you're a 24-year-old male in Wisconsin in recovery from heroin, this is the exact kind of care plan that's going to optimize you to be able to thrive in your life and have long-term recovery. Because in our space specifically, there's such a lack of research. It's still pretty unregulated at the treatment center level. Care hasn't been really standardized, and also through that data, we'll be able to inform policy, right? Because then we can say, this is actually what works, this is where funding should go, this is where health plans can focus to improve outcomes, which equates to people being more healthy. And so that's how I kind of view the importance of data, very important. So.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I have this vision, other than everyone having a behavioral health professional in their corner, is this concept of like snackable therapy. So I'd love, as we get more data, would love to kind of create a evidence-based approach to higher frequency, but higher impact therapy. So if you want to do like a 20-minute session before your big meeting or before coming up here with Ash, you can do that and you're totally ready to go. Because I think, the traditional view of doing therapy on a couch for an hour, that frame in person, I think that's a way of the past. If we can just do like 20-minute, 30-minute, 40-minute sessions and everyone's doing it, I think that would be awesome. If we could do that and create evidence based on the data that we gather, that would be awesome.
I think for me, I'm not so much in the at that level in terms of reaching, but I do know part of my vision is reaching hundreds of millions of people. Like, this is my vision, right? What I want is to create something where each person can harness their own change. Because as soon as I become the guru, that works against them, because they start to think that the external is what determines the internal. I do like the idea of meeting people at a personality base. So I want to do research and get clarity on what personality types are more inclined to be motivated by extrinsic motivation and which ones are more inclined by intrinsic motivation. And what you do is you meet them where they're at. My battle is not against, like, for example, New Year's is the best and worst day in the world, right? Because everybody has a resolution that they're not going to meet. But the thing is what I say is I'm not mad at the industry for making everybody feel insecure so that they come in on January 1, because at least it gets them to me. And my job is from there is to turn an extrinsic motivator into an intrinsic motivator. And I want to systematize that process. And I have on a general front, but I know that there's a lot more nuances to certain type of interventions for certain type of people that can truly make an impact at a way faster rate. Because change is very easy. It's just changing this.
Jessica.
All right, so as a leader of kind of the Orange County community for Startup Right, I get a lot of questions in regards to, okay, hey, I don't have health insurance. What resources are available? I've gotten this question 5 times since I posted this event. What resources are available for me? Because I don't have health insurance. I am running my own company. What do? I know that I'm falling into a bad habit of using alcohol or other substances in order to get myself through the day when it's been a bad grind. So what advice do you have for somebody who is still trying to get their company up and running? They don't have health insurance, so they can't get the resources that maybe some health insurance may cover. Any suggestions on those who still need the services but can't afford those services?
I would point to one of these two.
So I think peer support is one of the most powerful things. So I'm not a clinician, so I'm not saying this as a doctor recommendation. But I think especially when you're running a business, there's this pull to like want to, service everything and do everything at once. So it doesn't work for everybody, but 12-step meetings are free and you can meet people there to get support. And I'm not saying just Alcoholics Anonymous, there's Codependency Anonymous, which really helps you how to show up in relationships with people, places, and things. And then finding other founders. Like one of the most fundamental therapeutic experiences is being really brutally, vulnerably honest with another founder about the struggles you're going through. So to me, that would be the free method of getting support.
Yeah, it actually made me think too. Thank you. But I think YouTube. But I'm serious. Like I post videos that I don't care if 2 people watch or 1 million, but I know they're helpful. That's what's crazy to me. Is like I know that if you watch this, it'll help you. And so there's so much free information that's available. Like we live We live in a society that has been given so much that we become blind to it. It's so difficult, and so what we need to do is we need to kind of inhale and realize that there is so much available. Just like you said, there's so much. Just coming here, you've helped your mental health. And the effects of these things are not just momentary. Yes, we might get a dopamine rise by something that's been said that's inspiring, but that effect, if you ruminate on it, that's constant therapy that you're giving to yourself. And something else that I will say that I can't believe I wasn't going to say is exercise. And when I say exercise, you guys, I'm talking about like just walking for 30 minutes, okay? If you can do, they've done research where if you work out for about 150 minutes per week, your dopamine levels increase, your oxytocin levels increase, your parasympathetic nervous system causes you to downregulate easier, which makes you less anxious. It also increases the longevity, cognition. Even in the program that we do, when we do like our health lifestyle, we do a boot camp and then we do lectures because we know that their minds will absorb more. So just walking, exercising, trust me, just moving a little bit, it's at least respite from your negative thinking, right?
Yeah, everything that they were saying, and also like self-care, you know, if you like whistling, if you like dancing, do that, right? Like if you like skipping, just skip, because maybe someone else will see you skipping and they'll start skipping. But also Udify, right? Like we started this company for peer-to-peer support resources. We're creating a lot of content. We'd love to collaborate if possible. But there's a lot of free content on YouTube. There's a lot of free content out there. We also have community resources on Udify where you can crowdsource feedback from providers and from peers. That's completely free. And then technology, we've really told our providers as we onboard them, hey, you don't have to have a brick and mortar business anymore. So can you work with us on a sliding scale and maybe just do a 20-minute session for 20 bucks? That seems pretty affordable. You know, just don't go have that cocktail at happy hour, 2 cocktails at happy hour, and get that 20-minute therapy or coaching session. So that's kind of if you're in like the low to medium severity category, it's just like a little hard, but if it's really hard, there are resources out there. The crisis text line, that is completely free. You can start texting with a crisis counselor. You can actually text, we have a partnership with them, so you can text OOT to 741-741, and you'll get a crisis counselor immediately if you want to work. It's not meant to replace therapy, but if you're feeling in a dark place, they can kind of help you out with that. And they're trained, they're licensed, they're great. So there are a lot of resources out there, and you know, Udify is really meant to kind of be a provider of those services, but like lower duration if you can't afford it and you don't have traditional health plan.
So I feel like we've covered all the topics except food. And I don't mean like force yourself to eat something healthy that tastes disgusting. I mean like eat things that make you feel good, like energized. And you can go to Whole Foods and get these adrenal gland pills that are super helpful, all natural, that help with replenishing the cortisol they exert when you stress out a lot. It's part of my personal practice. And hydrate. So. Yeah, so I've seen that TED Talk, and it's absolutely accurate. I have experienced it, but I think you can turn those questions around and guide people to the story of the upside. So go in there with all of your confidence, talk about the upside of your business, and also take a neuro-linguistical programming course. It shows you how to use body language so that they change their frame of mind. So in fact, if you like stand up and you square off to a man like this, it actually changes how they psychologically think about you, and it's more of an equal. So that's just like one little thing out of it. So I would take that course because it helps you in having the type of body language that psychologically they respond to. And like I said, go in there with confidence, talk about the upside of your business, talk about the target addressable market, and if they ask about the downside, you know, how you react is how they're going to react back to you. So be confident, calm, don't get fazed by those questions. NLP, neuro-linguistical programming. You're welcome.
Yes, you sir.
Hi, my name is Billy. This question's for Burkay, but I'm curious to see what you guys all think about it as well as Berkey, earlier you mentioned about some hyper-Western trends that you observe. What are some of those things that you could point out? And I'm thinking in terms of as I'm helping, if I'm in someone's support circle, what are some of those trends that I could help undo as someone on the inside of someone? And yeah, I'm just curious to hear from everyone else on the panel as well.
Great question. I would say with this kind of hyper-Western approach, we have an odd self. You can call it a superego. The odd self is who we're supposed to be. And that is the most critical person you'll ever meet, right? Because they're always saying you're supposed to be somewhere else. And if your environment isn't doing it, it's letting you know that you're falling short, right? And so what happens, we have to ask, like what I do when I'm working with founders, when I'm working with anybody, just we talk about their odd self. And I'm like, okay, they're sitting right there. Okay, there's the perfect bouquet. Beautiful, right? Perfect bouquet. And I'm like, right? So I'm like, he's doing everything. He's perfect. He's timely. He's on point. Everything's on point. And then I go, okay, give him a six-pack. Okay, give him a chest. Okay, make him look this way. And this person that is attacking me all the time literally only has to be thought differently to exist that way, while we ourselves have to actually endure existence in the real world. And so when I realized that, all of a sudden I'm like, who are you? You are just a figment. You're an illusion. And how do you have power over who I see myself as? And you can't even say, you don't know what it's like to even exist. You don't even know what gravity feels like. You're just a thought. And then all of a sudden I break free, because that is not a power. It's just a figment of my imagination, that odd self. And then as soon as we do that, we shrink the odd self to something more like ourself. And all we have to do is just achieve. Just like you said, if you just send that email, if you just wake up, if you just go to bed, if you just go to the gym, if you just try one more time more. I say sometimes the best way to thrive is to survive. And if you can just survive, you need to celebrate. Hey, everybody, come on over. I'm still alive. It's a party. And if we can get people to change that perspective, then they're not fighting two battles. The battle of the real world and the battle of their mind against themselves. I say my work is not to make you run faster, it's to cut the parachute on your back. Right?
Oh, I got nothing.
One more question, and then we're going to have a special presentation right at the end. Not kidding.
So I inherited a business from my dad, and I resonate with you because you didn't go to business school, neither did I. I've grown up in the business, however, I struggle with, because I inherited it, to not feel worthy enough to run it because I didn't go to school for it. Yes, I've been around it, however, like, how do you deal with the feelings of like not being worthy enough to have this big success?
So what you said reminds me of something, which is that nobody is self-made. Nobody is. So even someone that, came up from a really low social economic standing at some point and, built their business on their own, at some point they had a mentor or someone gave them a bank loan or someone did this. So it doesn't matter how you achieved having the business, and you are the expert because you grew up in it. Nobody's self-made. Whenever Forbes does that thing like self-made billionaires, that's not true. Nobody is self-made, no matter how alone it appears that they built their business. So nobody is better or worse, but you were gifted this business for a reason. You have the experience, and experience, in my opinion, trumps formal education. So.
Yeah, right? Okay. This what's so cool, I say this to everybody, everything is everything. What you're feeling, I can pick it up, put it there, put it there, put it. Every single one of us are suffering from some type of unworthiness. The work that we do is try to find out what is the core belief, the fear that we're not capable. Currently, I have it in me now. And I will die with it. You know what I mean? Like that, yeah. Please raise your hand if you think you may have that inside you, right? So that's the first part. That's where that community kind of shows up. And the second, the same thing is try to meet that voice. Some of the work that we do is we capture your thinking. What are the thoughts that you have? We capture the negative thoughts and we try to understand where they're coming from because it ties to some core belief. But the cool thing is when you put light on a thing, on a negative thought, you realize how insane it is. But since we haven't been taught to be able to capture it, we think it's us. And it doesn't even need evidence. It's just speaking so fast that you don't have time to gather evidence that it just becomes truth. Fake news. And we do it on ourselves. We rate ourselves all the time. And so the first thing to do is, and I even do the exercises that I give my clients. I did it 2 days ago. I'm here because my goal is to continue to evolve. If I'm not feeling insecure, then I'm not moving. Right? And so the main goal is, okay, how do I see this thought? And how do I look at it? And then how do I put it beside me? And then how do I laugh at it? Right? Now.
Before we adjourn, and hopefully you can connect with these amazing speakers. First off, let's give it up for them again. Those are great answers. We have a treat for you, so I'm actually gonna give the mic to Ravi and Ravi.
All right, we're going to do a little self-care, just 1 second. So let me explain it. We've talked a lot about just like how hard it is to start a company. Sometimes people are telling you can't do it, you're not equipped to do it, you don't have experience to do it, or whatever. There's a million excuses. So there's this Bhangra Bollywood song that speaks to that and says, you know what, just follow your heart. As long as you follow your heart, you're authentic, that's all that matters. So I'm going to teach you guys Bollywood Bhangra right now as a self-care exercise. So if you guys could all stand up. Don't hit play just yet. There's just 3 moves. Can everyone see me? I'll fall in the water. Okay, so there's just 3 moves.